Belgium is demanding compensation from Israel after the authorities razed 6 EU-funded schools in a village near Bethlehem last week. The children now have to study in tents or outside.
The soldiers came and started shooting in the air, throwing grenades at people, and then they started destroying the school.
I feel so sad that our school has been destroyed. I'm so upset because they razed our school. I love studying so much. One day I want to become an engineer.
As we've already mentioned, those cabins which were meant to serve as schools were donated by the EU, as well as all the necessary educational equipment as well. The main aim of the project was to provide local children with an opportunity to get an education near home. The nearest schools now an hour's walk from where they live. Belgium, one of the countries behind the education projects, condemned the destruction, calling Israel's move unacceptable, adding that the project was to meet humanitarian needs and was in keeping with international humanitarian law. Paula Sleer, our correspondent, went there to check out what was happening.
The night before the new school year started, Israeli bulldozers arrived here on the outskirts of the Palestinian city of Bethlehem to demolish 7 caravans that had recently been erected as a school for some 100 Bedouin students from the area. Now, this was one of 55 schools in the area that had recently been given demolition orders, but the difference here was that the demolition order came the same night that the school was destroyed. There were sound bombs, there was tear gas, and the solution has been this tent that was put up to try and accommodate at least some of the children so they could hold classes.
When there is a strong wind, we get cold. We have classes in direct sunlight. Some of us might get sunstroke and get sick. And when it gets colder, people get ill too.
The kids from our village were so happy when they had a school. And when it got destroyed, they were very upset. The kids used to love going to school. They were so enthusiastic about it. And now they're asking all the time, why do I have to study in a tent? The children need water, bathrooms, and there's nothing like this in this so-called school.
The situation inside the tent is extremely cramped. There are 4 classes that are happening simultaneously. Now, most of the students are not even here. They've been sent to a school that is around 10 kilometers away. And as you can well imagine, that is a far distance for children this age to walk. And many of them say along the way, they are often accosted by settlers. According to the Norwegian Refugee Council, in the first quarter of this year, there were 24 cases of schools like this being destroyed by the Israeli army. Paula Sleer, RT, Jubut Ad Dib, outside Bethlehem.
RT asked the Israeli officials for comment, and judging by the response, they say the schools were built without the required planning permits from the Israeli authorities. That fact's being presented, in fact, as the main reason behind the demolitions. Dimitri Diliani's got something to say about that. He's a member of the Fatah Revolutionary Council. He said, in fact, there's not only a shortage of schools, but also hospitals and housing because of Israel's reluctance to give Palestinians construction permits.
This time we're talking about 3 schools, but these are not the first 3 schools. Our hospitals suffer from the same thing. Our economy suffers from suffocation. Israel has, by international law, the responsibility of building schools. They do not build schools. And at the same time, they don't give permits to build schools, nor houses. We have shortage in hospitals because Israel doesn't give permits to build hospitals. And at the same time, they are building freely on our land schools for Israeli settlers who are illegal colonial settlers on our land, and they are free to build their schools.